All right, welcome to Vibe Osmosis. How you doing today?
Man, I'm great. You okay? Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been a turn up one. So go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do.
My name is Andy, and I record under the name Coke White. I guess I'm multi-instrumentalist. I don't know how to play them all that well, but whatever. That's what I do. So,
So welcome, Coke White. We got a special one on this Vibe. We ain't talking baking soda. So what introduced you
hey,
to?
have you tried it yet? You might be talking baking soda. I've been
Oh, I
burned.
tried it. It's solid stuff.
Have you ever tried to call and get your money back? And they're like, nope.
Oh yeah, they'd be like, that was deodorant, by the way.
Sorry. Yeah, dude. Which the coke. Yeah, I was smoking crack too, and so like I've smoked some sheetrock before, I swear. But anyway, that's a different show.
Yeah, yeah. What happened towards where you started to release music under Coke White?
Well, it was kind of just for something to do, and that's a name that like I'd had for a while, and I started recording under the name Mostly Black. Um, it was mostly black, and it was just kind of a play on a lot of these like heavy, intense bands are like Black Flag, Black Sabbath, all that stuff. And so I was like not as heavy, so I was kind of mostly black. But then people told me it was racist. It sounded racist, and
Oh,
so I just
mostly black. I see that. I can see the alternative take on that.
yeah, it was like I'm not like totally black like Sabbath. I'm just kind of mostly black was what it was about. And so anyway, I was like, I don't ever want to hear any bullshit. I don't, and so I was like, and I can say whatever I want with white in it. Um,
Yeah.
I have that privilege. Uh, and and I did used to do a lot of coke, and so that's why I had that name originally. And so I did it again, and yeah, that's where it came from. But I also was just started doing this stuff like if like two people listened to it, that would be fine. If nobody did, that would be fine. Um, and fortunately, like two people do listen to it now. So,
Right. Yeah. So how long have you been recording and making music? When did you start?
oh man, like really long time. I'm an old person and been doing it since the '90s. Uh, like playing in punk bands and shit like that. Um, but I've been recording and doing all that alone like for years, under some different monikers and things like that. And um, but over the past like 10 years or so, I was always like in rehab or some shit or somewhere like that, and so didn't ever really do it. But now I have some, not necessarily time, but like the means and like some sort of focus these days. So that's kind of cool.
Um, where are you based now?
I'm in a place, it's pronounced El Dorado, Arkansas. I
Oh,
came to this little town a few years back. Um, I didn't want to, but it's been a really good thing, man. I would probably be dead if I was living in Little Rock. That's where I'm from, Little Rock, and so probably be dead if I stayed there. So I'm in Arkansas to answer your
um.
question.
Also, do you follow astrology? Do you believe in it?
Um, man, I'm a skeptic at heart, but some stuff is pretty damn uncanny, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to see like some of these stuff can be put in a book and then like you find it so relatable or connected to yourself, especially if they, are saying like that's how you identify. And I wondered, like what's your astrology sign?
Gemini.
Okay, do you actually follow like what they say about Gemini? Do you agree?
Fuck, man, I try not to, but it does pan out, like like. But I also think that we can find patterns of things. Like
Right.
I could read yours, and if you told me it was mine, I might go, "Fuck, dude, it's on point." You
Yeah.
know.
I think if I was drunk enough and they told me something that was not even for Scorpio, I'd be like, yeah, that's
Yeah,
me. Yeah,
right.
it's me to a
So
T.
I do think it's fun and all that, and there might be something to it. I don't know, man. Like I said, like that's another thing. I used to be extremely open to everything like that, man, and would fall down crazy rabbit holes
Yeah.
doing all this stuff. So I think I'm a little scared of it now. I don't know, but
Well, so what's your view on like communication with spirits? Have you ever tried?
oh, oh yeah, oh yeah. Um, Again, man, like I think that's some stuff. Like I got real far into that, and it got pretty heavy, you know. And I've always wanted to know, like, okay, and of course, a lot of things go back to drugs with me, just being honest. Um, and so I always want to know, and I like want to do some research on it. If like, was it just a side effect of all the drugs I was doing at the time, or do narcotics break down the veil of the spirit world and you're actually able to see it? You know what I mean?
Definitely. I'm a big fan of Dex tripping, robo tripping, and like whenever I robo trip, I always think like I see like the grids of the earth because I think it's like you're looking,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
more beyond than like what's there. And to me also, I wondered like if you could be put in such a state where you see like the chemistry behind how things are formed and like how matter is kind of everything.
Right.
Um, and like I wondered, did you go and see like Barbie and Oppenheimer or any of
Uh,
those?
I saw I saw Barbie.
Nice. What did you think about Barbie?
Um, I actually enjoyed it.
The I
And
feel like the slight sarcasm and the hints of like I don't know if I'm thinking about death or like this like this other world and stuff is really really true to like you can go throughout your day and have like such like a nice day or whatever, but you still find like random thoughts of like is there something more than like what I'm doing to make stuff comfortable?
oh,
Um
constantly, yeah.
Right. And I feel like with your music, you have like a versatility with your music. Some of it is kind of like really focused towards like beaty and like upbeat and stuff. And then also some of it's really focused on like this tape droney and like massage with sounds kind of. Did
Hmm.
did you kind of have that in mind whenever you were working on your music?
No, it's because I'm a Gemini, and it's um, no, like, man, a lot of that comes from like I truly have, I think, like um, so many different influences, right? And I don't really, I mean, I'm not huge. I've never been able to like stick with like so genre focused. It's really difficult for me, and it's not that preconceived. It's kind of like I'll start fucking around with stuff, and that's kind of what comes out, you know.
Okay.
Like Devin Lynn talked about this, and like I agree with her on this. Where like she doesn't even remember like where songs came from, or like doesn't know what, you know what I'm talking about. Like that's another
Definitely.
very spiritual thing to me. Like it's almost like it just kind of happens, you know. Like I will like make a beat or something and then start throwing shit on top of it and it happens, but a lot of times it'll just kind of form in this weird way and I don't even know where it came from, you know.
I also think like whenever you're able to like let go and like not like worry so much on like I guess like what substance is really there working for the song and you get to go back and like see like okay, can I edit this? Is this something like I
Hmm.
feel like this works? Do you kind of go through sessions where you record like I see you do tapes. Like do you just like go and jam and record the whole tape and try to find what you like?
Kind of, man. It's like and if yeah, if you listen to it, it's and it really is for better or worse. Like I could probably do a lot better, but I just capture what's going on. It like since I do on tape and I'm not good at like punching in and doing all this shit and all that stuff, like I'll kind of like get a riff or something and just let it go from there and start building on it. And so whatever happens kind of happens, you know. It's a more of a stream of consciousness kind of thing, and I try not to overthink it because that's what I did for years, and it would keep me stagnant. And so, um, yeah, if it kind of sucks sometimes too, it's what happens. Another good thing is like I literally have nothing to really gain or lose by doing this, and so it's more for me to have a creative outlet and distraction because I deal with some pretty heavy shit all day. And so I get to totally detach, and I don't use drugs anymore. But I still have that need to get far out and do things like that. So that's how it works.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. Like if you don't do drugs, whenever you focus on your music and your art and creativity, like that world that you're putting yourself into and immersive, if it's like that feeling alone. It's therapeutic. It's like you don't need anything else besides like that muse that it's giving you. Especially
Yeah.
on like days whenever you don't feel good and you're like just need stuff to listen to or like go back and reflect and see like like the bones and like why you started doing something to begin with.
Yeah.
uh, and to bring back up, whenever I say tape, we're talking these kinds of tapes. We're not talking reel to reel. And so like
I mean, I have reel to reel, but yeah, like these
right.
these these are my songs right here. Yeah.
Okay, so whenever you are recording on stuff like that, what kind of like tape machine and stuff are you using to get this done? Are you using a mixer too?
Yeah, like look, I mean, my shitbird setup is like right here. Can you see it?
Oh, insane.
All this shit, like, yeah, I go from this tape machine like through all these pedals and that board right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also that board, is that also like a tape recorder too? You could record tape on those? Or is
No,
that for
that,
mixing?
that's just a straight mixing board.
Cool. So I've had one where you're recording everything directly like onto like the series is like maybe 6 or 8 tracks, and
Mm-hmm.
you're always having to once you record it, go all the way back and like do your overdub or find your
Yeah.
stuff. And I kind of wonder, whenever you're doing like your layers and stuff, are you having like two things together, like your guitar and your beat together, and you're trying to like overdub over top of that, or how does that
I'll
work?
do sometimes. Sometimes I'll
Okay.
do that, and then sometimes it's just a pretty that whole process of just going back over and then ping ponging and back over.
Yeah.
But I will do this sometimes, like, and I think you can probably tell on some of my stuff that's a bit cleaner. Like I will do a few tracks on the tape machine, and then throw that into GarageBand, clear up all the tracks on the tape machine, throw that mix back on the tape machine, and then load some more. And so,
Right.
you know,
So sometimes it can take you a while to get a song because of your process.
yeah, that's really kind of what takes a long time. But in that Grid Jenga, I talked about how somehow though the tape machine actually helps me with the streamlining the process, because I don't know, man. I'm like real ADHD, and you can tell I'm real chatty and shit, and like
Yeah.
um I'll so imagine me on coke. It gets weird. And so it's like with the computer, sometimes with like plugins and everything, I get too lost in that and get overwhelmed with it. Whereas if I just keep it kind of limited to a few pedals I like and a few things, I can get the sound going straight into the tape machine, and I don't get lost in that. So it actually helps keep the process going sometimes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so what he's mentioning, folks, is this right here. You can
Yeah.
buy a copy online. You got to dig for it, look for it. There's only so many, but buy it, look into it, read it.
Yeah.
And also,
They're great folks.
whenever you're working on music, do you have like something that like like you're practicing? Like, are you going through chords and melodies, or are you like going through your gear, or do you kind of just like whenever you're going for it, you just start clicking record and mess around and find out like your groove?
Yeah, and like I mean, a few things are like stuff like I've noodled around on and kind of have an idea, but really like this Coke White stuff, like it truly is like I mean, obviously if you listen to it, it's not breaking a bunch of ground. It's not really thought out. So,
Do you have a favorite song of yours right now?
mm, maybe. I think I kind of like Street Meat.
And also on your YouTube, you do your own videos. And
Yeah.
and like what inspired you to do your own videos and like what inspires like this aesthetic that you're going for?
Um, Probably totally like B movies, of course, and like a lot of us that do this kind of tape shit and all this stuff, like a lot of the nostalgia of things. And I actually did grow up in a time with like videos, like videotapes and all that stuff, and it really was a great time. Um and so just kind of the old like videos I would watch as a kid that we'd rent from the video stores, like a lot of the shitty movies and um different things like that inspire it. But truthfully, like a lot of what inspires it is like smoking cigarettes, going outside smoking cigarettes and looking at the internet and looking at stuff and going, oh, that's interesting. And I don't know, man, like just putting all of it together is kind of fun. Man, it's all a fucking distraction and detachment for me, to be honest.
I grew up also going to Hollywood Video and like getting to pick out my own VHS. And every single time, it was never like a child appropriate thing. It was always like, this looks fucking crazy, mom, dad. Like,
Right.
can you get this
Yeah.
one? And it was always like, oh, I'm gonna have to read some of it. And like it was, either no because of how bad it was, or sometimes it was like, this one's not rated, so I'll let this one slide. And like
Right.
it's like once I found out Grindhouse, they had a version where it was like I'm not rated or something, and I was like, this is unrated or whatever. I can watch this one. This looks
Yeah.
insane, and like it really kind of put me onto like my own venture to find out like what was really making that stuff interesting and why like I picked it up to begin with, and
Yeah.
with some of your song titles, not all of them are short.
No.
Right. So I kind of wondered like if you had like that like influence to kind of push that boundary of like what is this then, like and whenever you click on it and you take the dive, I feel like there's not one song where you're not like I did not expect this, and like it just completely takes you by surprise almost every time.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially for people that never listen to your music, like, and how would you kind of go about describing your music for people that don't know you?
Man, you know how I think I describe it is like not what people think of it. Like I just think of it as regular old like post-punk. Um, it's heavily influenced for me. Like new wave music is I'm heavily influenced by it. Um, but I think sometimes people have a hard time with it because I'll get like DMs and stuff. Or like people are like, "So are you dark wave? Are you fucking goth wave?" I'm like, I'm just all the waves, man. And that you'll see, that's why I make jokes a lot. Like if I'm working on a song and I'll be like, "This is a lo-fi pop punk mall rat fucking wave," but because I don't know, truthfully, I just think of it as like kind of like I'm influenced by like post punk and um, art punk and things like that, you know. So I don't know. I describe it as new wave,
Some
experimental new wave.
fun questions. I see your posters in the back. What's some of the bands and stuff that's inspired you and that you listen to still today?
Uh, um, well, there's the Black Flag one, obviously. Like that, they were one of the hugest influences on me in the world. Uh, because growing up in Arkansas, like I don't think anybody can really understand. Like, can you hear me? Somebody's trying to call me.
Yeah, yeah, you're good. Oh,
Then it like threw me out. So I put on the do not disturb.
yeah, I had to do that too.
I'm sorry. But yeah, like Black Flag was one of the real formative ones for me because I hadn't heard a lot of stuff like that, and it was crazy to me how old it was. I
Yeah.
was like, how in the shit did this come out like in the late 70s, early 80s? Like
And
it,
they recorded it so well with that grit and that intention of it, like beyond what the Misfits were doing. Yeah, I'm a fan too. They have a really good sound.
and so you know how people talk about that music is like you can do this too. Like that really was like a spark of like, oh shit. Like, I mean, you know, I couldn't play like them, invent stuff as cool as they could, but like it did was the first time like, oh, like I can make music too, you know, and so they were really big. But the people I still listen to now, like man, like a lot of my shit is like influenced. People wouldn't is like Cyndi Lauper and stuff, man.
Very cool.
Like, dude, like I love Madonna, I love Cyndi Lauper, I love Milli Vanilli, like all that shit. Like, but I don't really know how to sound like that. So it's like I
Yeah.
love all that, and I would love to write songs like that, but I think I don't know how to do anything other than Black Flag type stuff. It's like me trying to like I don't know, but yeah, I listen to a lot of
That,
different things with
and
that.
I feel like that's a great approach because I feel like it translates well with these other songs that you take in different directions. And
Hmm.
a lot of these the songs that aren't exactly so tape like direct sound, you know what I mean? They
Hmm.
have that aesthetic of this could also be on the radio, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
That's how it feels to me, especially for like people that don't listen, haven't heard it yet. Whenever you listen, you're gonna feel it because you can see like that raw talent and that like that energy. And I feel like it probably took a while to kind of progress and find like what sound and stuff to to stick with and to what you're comfortable with, and also
hmm
like what your image and what you're going for. And your other bands, did you kind of have that same problem of like where do I fit with this and how do I make this work?
yeah, a little bit, man. Like, yeah, I kind of always knew like what I was into and what I've always had trouble truly finding people the simpatico with like all the different sort of shit I'm in, you know. Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I would be in some bands to where like they're just total full on heavy metal guy or full on like fucking emo man,
Yeah.
and I'm like some of that shit's cool, but like yeah, so I've had a little bit of difficulty with that, and so I enjoy being able just to kind of do what I want, man, and I really like just being able to not have anyone's input on it or anything, you know. I mean, I do enjoy collaborating with people, but I mean,
Right.
like in a band, you know how it is. Like it's other people say so also on these
It's a
things.
full collaboration when it's a band, and sometimes it doesn't get to go your way, and
Hmm.
that can be a good thing or a bad thing. Like this whenever I was living out in Seattle, we were trying to do this whole band breakfast at the zoo, etc. Trying to like my
Hmm.
friend Trevor, he's in the band Sun Puddle. He basically wrote these guitar songs. They are really great guitar songs, and
Hmm.
he was just basically like, I actually have this together. So how about we get everybody on the same page to practice and like record this song other than like people just jamming and trying to record like a lot of sessions and have like bullshit songs that are just
Right.
like improv or wasn't really like in mind. And there's always that battle of like, okay, if we're going to have the drummer focus on trying to play to like what you're doing, that focus on how to make that happen, especially like without it being forced or feel dirty because like you're getting used or whatever for your talent,
Yeah.
and like after it all went to shit and we stopped playing music together and I like was back at home listening to all the recordings and I was sharing it with them. They were just like, damn, we were onto something. But whenever
Yeah.
that was happening, like we were ready to tear each other's heads off
Yeah.
because
Been
like,
there. Yeah.
you weren't playing the bass like this or it didn't sound like this. So like I don't, it was just like throwing in all the moods. Did that ever kind of throw you off of like, I don't want to make music with other people and stuff whenever like bands fell through?
A little bit. But you know, truthfully, like I'm a pretty late bloomer on some things. I didn't I didn't really know it was that possible for me to do it by myself. I was kind of
Hmm.
afraid, I think,
Yeah, yeah,
and insecure, truthfully,
yes.
just
And
being all vulnerable with you.
I'm really really interested because like one of the biggest bands I'm really into is Animal Collective,
Yeah.
and like how they all have like their own kind of solo career, you know?
Hmm.
And so like sometimes they're going on these tours, even though like maybe everybody loves them for being in that band Animal Collective, they have this own, separate music that maybe isn't
Hmm.
owned by everybody. And I'm like one of my always things was like, what ways do you prepare for yourself for like that expectation of like it's not going to be, you know, your Animal Collective group show and it's going to be like either a hit or miss on like me trying to convey this new record. And it kind of puts me back onto you because with this music that you have, I checked out your Spotify. Did you have like this stuff in mind to go out and play and perform live, or to do shows like in the future?
Not at
what
all.
what would you do whenever that opportunity came to you? Like, is that something you're interested in?
Um, Somebody reached out to me the other day and was asking that because they were trying to put some shows together, and that would be cool because I do enjoy playing live. Um, but man, that would be kind of difficult.
Had it all over me, I guess. All right, so what was your favorite movie? I don't know if we actually got to that.
Which my favorite movie?
Yeah.
Um, Probably. Actually, not probably. It is Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
Oh, very wild. So what's your take on sorry, Roman Polanski?
Um, I like his movies. I don't know him though. Um,
One thing I recently watched was the movie that he has with Johnny Depp from Hell, I
yeah,
think it is. And
yeah,
at the time, I mean, I hadn't watched this movie before, so it was kind of new watching it for me. And at this time, almost the whole movie, towards the end of it, I was like, whenever I seen the credits and I seen that it was Roman Polanski, I was like, holy shit, you're telling me like this interesting, weird movie that Johnny Depp actually did a good job in was done for this like crazy guy. Um, and like, so it brings me up to like, are you a fan of like Quentin Tarantino and shit?
yes.
All right, so what do you think about like his movies usage of like bad words and situations like racism and stuff like that, and also like applying that with like his stories and stuff? Because it seems to be like a common thing throughout all the movies. You know what I mean? Especially in like the
Yeah,
gangster aspect.
yeah. Like I get it from the influence stance on there because I also like am a big fan of a lot of those movies that influence what he's doing. And that's how they fucking talked on there, man. It was crazy, like some shit they would, like we would just flip out now.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah,
um,
there's no telling a bitch ass motherfucker cunt to go and suck my dick, or
yeah,
I'm what is it, like I'm Ted, or I'm Bill and I'm here to fuck, or whatever the
yeah.
pussy.
My name's Buck.
Um,
I'm from Huntsville, Texas, and I'm here to
yeah,
fuck. Yeah,
like that's the craziest stuff ever. But like and it's one of my things. Like I feel like with music, there's that element. I mean, the element of doing stuff that you shouldn't do, like with like pop and rap music. It's like go and rob a bank, and you're shooting up and doing this, and you're at the strip
yeah,
club. But if you really met those people and you were doing that kind of stuff, you might have like mixed views.
yeah.
Yes. Do you kind of ever have like a like that contradictory moment of like, with what I'm doing, is that good or bad, or especially with like your music artistically?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, which I don't think I'm really ever doing anything bad, but I know what you're saying. Like, dude, my fucking name's Coke White, and I'm a
Right.
drug counselor. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, but I refuse to like. I mean, like, if I know what I'm doing is okay, that's really. If I know what my heart is and my actions are in life, I don't get too caught up with that, and I'm very anti like censorship. I'm very anti all that stuff. Like even things that I find horrific, I think you should be allowed to say them and do them. Things I
Yeah,
totally disagree with, but like,
yeah, that's a good
yeah,
point.
and I think I do a lot of that. Like, if you look, man, like, and it's really like interpersonal. Like, there's a lot of like, I skewer really a lot, and I mean, you can't even understand what I'm saying half the time. But like, it's for me personally. Like, I'm making commentaries of my own on shit I'm surrounded by in Arkansas, um, with people whose actions don't line up with their words. Around here, where I'm from and grew up, you are. It's almost like your birthright to be a Christian, and so a lot of people say they believe certain things, but I don't see that lining up.
Of
And
course,
so that's where like a lot of my titles and stuff come from, and I get to get some of that out
you're
and make
right.
fun of it a little bit. But I kind of went off the rails on there. I didn't really answer your question. I'm sorry. I do
No,
that.
no, I've even noticed in some of your songs you have some lyrics that have very straight, like a straightforward meaning, or also like
Hmm.
double meanings, and
Yeah,
that that's something I can relate to because it's like not only does it fit for the song, but you're able to kind of like reflect on that. Uh,
hmm.
yeah, yeah, and also I guess we'll get into some fun questions here. All right,
Yeah, it's all good, man.
all right. So we'll go to favorite dessert.
Um, I had this thing the other night, man, that was so good. It was a bread pudding. It was this bread pudding, and it was really good.
You make it homemade or what?
No, man, I got it from this place. This one of like these places. It used to be a post office, and now it's a cool little restaurant and shit, and they make cool stuff. But yeah, I like that. But um, what's your favorite dessert?
I'm like, I mean, I'm a sucker for cheesecake. Like, I can't ever pass that up. And like cheesecake balls. Um, like whenever I was younger, my aunt Norma, on my mom's side, she would make these things called like Rebel bars. I don't know if they're really a thing, but they were like cookie dough, but with chocolate in it, and it was like frozen bars, and she put them in the freezer.
Oh
And
God,
yeah, they were, the highlight of every holiday until she
yeah.
passed. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So to lead up with that spiritual aspect, do you find yourself to be a spiritual person?
For sure. Yeah, I
What
hope so.
led
Yeah.
yeah, what led you to spirituality?
Well, it's interesting. I was raised in the church, and I think more so I was religious growing up.
Okay.
What really led me to my own spiritual path, truthfully, was becoming a full-blown junkie. Um, and so, like, I have to find some form of connection to do things where I used to like, so, like, man, when you're getting high all night and you're having these conversations, and every motherfucker says like, I'm spiritual, not religious, and all that shit, and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
Um,
whenever they probably don't really read or look into anything or practice
no, not at
anything.
all. And so I've explored a
Yeah.
lot of different paths. That I mean, we could talk about that all night, and so um, I've had to learn that my spiritual relationships are not yours, not my mother's, not anything like that. That it has to be mine. And at one point, I was a very do without wilt type guy for a while. But personally, that philosophy doesn't work for me, because I will do without wilt and wreck everyone's life that I come in contact with, and that's not cool for me anymore.
Yeah.
So, man, and so I've gone back to like a lot of my philosophies based off biblical principles of things or different things like that, and not the dogmatic theology of any sort of religion or anything. Um, but I don't know, man. It's pretty wild shit. But I'm still figuring out too. So,
What was your first concert?
um, my very first one was probably like, uh, I think the Beach Boys. No, New Kids on the Block. You probably don't even remember them. I don't
Oh,
think,
that's
do you?
very wild.
Yeah.
What were they like live? Were they good?
I thought they sucked dick. I remember I was little, but like I remember being like, this is not what they sound like on my tape.
Yeah.
They're garbage. And that should have been like the first thing where I would like learn about like studios and different things, but I was just like, this is not cool. But yeah, that was my first one that I can really remember. Um, you know.
Do you still got to shows?
Yes, not nearly as much as I used to, of course, but yeah, I try to. Yeah.
Do you remember the last show you seen?
Yeah. It was Unwed Sailor.
Oh, very nice.
Um,
Is that a local?
no, they're actually, well, from Oklahoma, Seattle,
Okay.
different things like that. It's a post-rock instrumental band who the bass player, Jonathan Ford, was very influential on me. Like, I remember going to see them. I saw them years and years ago, and I'd never seen an instrumental band play at this point. It was like in 2000, and it blew my mind. Like, oh, you don't have to have words. Like, I was so basic, man. Like, I just didn't know a lot of this stuff, and so
Yeah.
that was really cool to me. And so yeah, that was I went and saw them when they came through town last time before last.
I'm still on the same page. Like I'm always amazed whenever I could go to a show and I see like how this different technique or different pedal is used, and that's kind of going to get me into my next thing. Do you have like a favorite piece of equipment that you like to use? Do you have like a certain process whenever you're writing songs?
Yeah, I'm always using my chorus pedal, like always. But and it's this right here. I've had this for a long time, this mono synth pedal.
Very cool.
But man, I have found this to like um I've used it with vocals, with all different things. Like I've had a lot of fun with that lately. And
With vocals, like do you wait till everything's done or sometimes yeah?
vocals a total last thought.
So whenever you do vocals, do you actually write the stuff down or do you kind of improv some of it too?
Both.
Yeah?
Depends, yeah, both. But like, man, truthfully, like I don't even care about having vocals on anything, but I know like there's just we all have that attachment to the human voice,
Right.
and like it kind of just helps everything with the song. But no, it's really kind of last minute to me, and because I'm not a singer, man, I'm a horrible singer, and you know,
Yeah, what was your first instrument?
bass, guitar.
Okay, did you ever take lessons?
Nope. I did not, and I wish I would have, but um, yeah, bass guitar was the first one, and I also talked about that in the magazine, um, because like when I was growing up, everybody wanted to be like a guitar hero, and
Yeah, yeah, I did
and
see that. Right.
I wanted to be in a band, like right off the bat. Like I mean, I grew up in the age of Nirvana, and like when Weezer came out, and I was into the Ramones and stuff, and like I always dug the bass player. I thought that was cool, and so I got my dad to buy me a bass, and that was the first one. And so no, I just kind of learned playing along to things and all that stuff.
What was some of the first bands that you were listening to, playing along to?
Um, I bought well, I tried doing Green Day, but that guy was too good. He did too much. He did too much stuff, like all that stuff, and so I couldn't do that. And I bought a tape. It was Ramones Mania,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so I could kind of so I could put on headphones and I could grasp some of that. And so it was really Ramones was the first thing I started playing, but like, of course I like Nirvana, and Weezer was really influential on me.
Did you
But
ever
they're
have, yeah. What about Weezer? What were you saying?
yeah, I liked what they were doing, but like at first that was too good for me, and that's kind of like it was too advanced. And so that's what I
Right.
talk about. Like with Black Flag, I was like, oh, okay, all right, this is possible. So but yeah, I learned to play with Ramones.
What's your vibe like? Are you a fan of like Discharge and Dystopia and that kind of stuff too? Like
Sure, yeah.
the
I'm
heavier
into all
stuff?
that shit. Yeah.
Have you checked out The Garden? Are you a fan?
Yes, big fan.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they do a really good job at mixing things up and I guess like utilizing their sound and like the influence too.
Mhm. Oh, they're
Um
brilliant at it. Yeah, and you
yeah,
know, you do a lot. You do a lot of that shit too, by the way.
I try to mix it up too. Like I try
No, and
to
I love that. I love that. And I've been listening to your stuff for a while, and like a lot of different, like just the recording techniques. I love all that, man. Like you can mix it up.
I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
thank you for tuning in. Oh yeah, so here's an essential vibe osmosis question. If you were stranded on an island and you could only bring one thing with you, what would you bring?
Um, like plenty of Adderall, um, or my Bible. No, probably probably a lighter or
Yeah.
some sort of or a dagger or something.
Yeah, I think fire is really important on this one.
Yeah, yeah.
um, go ahead. Um, yeah. If you could time travel, would you go forwards or backwards?
Totally backwards, man.
How
I'm
far back? How far back?
uh early 90s, mid 90s. I would go back to the 80s. Like they really were fucking good times, man. It's not
Yeah.
revisionist history. I was there. Like they were good.
The one thing I think about that era from 80s and 90s, it was the drop of everybody wearing suit and ties and having hats and that kind of stuff, though.
Yeah, some people did do that. Yeah,
I
some hats.
was like, the hats just are not coming back.
There were some hats. Yeah. I will say this though, like
Yeah.
my personal time during those eras were good. I didn't have a lot of cares, so that's it also.
All right, and one thing else before we go, music that you've been listening to, and people you want to shout out.
You know, I will say this, like this past year I've been doing this stuff. I've met some cool people like you, and of course Alcove and Soul Psych.
Yeah, so psyched.
The Dude, they rule. They fucking rule. They have the whole spirit of everything going that I love. Um, Devin Lynn, of course, Pico Ciotti, um, Heroin Parent, all those people, you know, just really great stuff that and really cool people seem like,
Yeah.
and have been really nice to me. Like, and if we're kind of doing all this sort of stuff that, you know, people around me are not doing. And so it's been very comforting, even if it's just on Instagram and things, to have some people that, there's this weird, for me, like a weird sort of semi-connection to, and
Yeah.
and so that's been really cool. But you know, I still listen a lot, man. I've been really listening to a lot of like Wilson Phillips and weird shit like that, man. Like, which always tells me there's something going on I need to look at in my life because I'm trying to go back to something. I'm trying to escape something.
What would be your ultimate last meal?
Um, Shrimp and grits.
And from a certain place or straight up how homemade?
There's this place in my town, um, called Fay Ray's that does like this Cajun cuisine and does all this stuff that I really like.
Very cool. I'll have to
Yeah.
give it a look up and see what their Yelp is.
Yeah, do it, man. If they have one, man. I'm in a country town, man.
um, and one other funny question, I guess, before we leave. What do you wish that people feared less?
Um, Other people
Other people. Yeah, I feel like
and their beliefs.
yeah. And like one thing I guess for me is like the judgment of that. You know, it's like a quick quick thing to jump to, I guess. Anything else you want to mention before we end this?
No, man. Hey, thank you so much. We've covered a lot of stuff, and you're great, and I appreciate you talking with me.
No, I appreciate you for joining Vibe Osmosis. It's been fun.
Yeah, man.
All right, we'll keep in touch.
All right. Bye.
All right.